event,
Mm.
the panel,
Mm.
and I think you have the content of the panel, and you had agreed to be part of it.
Yeah.
So what we thought about, we need to talk about what the content will be and how we're going to structure the participation of all the strands.
Mm. In 1 hour, 45 minutes.
Yes.
With everyone
Is
sitting...
that right, Sky?
Yes, that is confirmed. We will begin our presentation at 1 p.m. and conclude at 2:45. So we do have 1 hour and 45 minutes.
And that is on Wednesday?
That is on Wednesday. Yep, April 1st.
Good. Okay.
Yep. And just to confirm that we have the leaders from EL Advocacy, Valerie also from Global Issues, you and Yesid, and
Yeah.
Professional Learning with Christine and Ayana. At the moment, we do not have the leaders for the intersection of identity and teaching advocacy strand. So Federico and I were debating if we would leave that space open and provide the other 3 strands with increased time.
Yeah.
To...
You're talking about EL advocacy. You're talking about global issues. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what was the other one where you do have?
Professional learning.
Professional learning.
Yep.
I have a question. And who's supposed to be doing identity and teaching?
Well, the leaders of that advocacy strand were not available, and I don't recall who they are, but Federico and I our research has been in that strand, and so we thought we might work together to fill those spaces and talk about the intersection of identity and teaching.
Because I don't remember where I proposed what, but on one piece I wrote about the influence of one's identity on one's teaching. And Federico's recently been to the Holocaust Memorial Museum.
Yeah.
And I was thinking of 2 people, definitely one person, Natalie Hess, who is a survivor from Ravensburg. And I am sure that her teaching has been influenced by her background, but in an amazingly positive and compassionate way.
What's her name again, Valerie? Sorry.
Natalie Hess.
Okay.
She's been in TESOL a long time, and she was at Northern Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
And she's done a lot of humanistic stuff along with literature.
Okay.
So,
so I'm gonna share my screen with you all, because I have a document that I've been using in preparation for the presentation. And if I can find the option for that meeting.
Let's look at that, but please tell me, how did the title of the panel, how did it arrive? How did you arrive at the title of the panel or the event?
Federico, would you like to?
Well, yes, because I contributed to coming with that. There is a workbook that Sky shared with me that talks about fracture lines and healing along fracture lines. So the idea of fracture lines being, I think we explained it in the abstract, being that, is it there?
Here we go.
Yeah, fracture
here's the
lines.
text. Yes.
Right. Fracture lines are difficult places like Palestine and the US-Mexico border, where ELT can be used for human progress and healing. So that is the idea that this work has, the Erling book has, that you come along these borders. Some of them are national borders, some of them are more cultural borders, but you come along these borders and these are spaces for healing where English language teaching can be used to accelerate that healing. That's how we thought that that was very appropriate for social responsibility. I appreciate Sky making me aware of this work, and that's how the title came about.
Okay, the person who created it was in the social responsibility interest section for many years, and I'm particularly sensitive, of course, to the two examples that she gave, or that you. What I was trying to fathom out was what the fracture lines are.
We narrowed down the definition to simply difficult places, and we chose that because we determined those places as among the most important for social responsibility work, especially language teaching and learning to occur.
And what have you got so far that talks about the healing and the difficult places?
I don't think that we have.
That was the purpose of this meeting.
Right.
No, but you two have been working on something. Yeah.
We have. My research has taken me to beyond the U.S.-Mexico border to Mexico City, where I've done teacher training with returnees, deportees and returnees who grew up in the States and who for a variety of reasons have returned and are now involved in language teacher preparation. And so that is where my work has intersected with teacher identity, my research especially. And so that's the angle that I would, the angle from which I would present in the advocacy strand. So if I were to represent that, so
and Federico,
that's what I have so far, and yes.
Yes.
And is your study or concern or focus on another area of healing?
No, not per se. My focus has been identity and using stories, particularly stories of immigrants and immigration, in the classroom to create community, to develop community by focusing on the commonalities that our stories of immigration have. So that's some work that I've done. Well, better than intersect, I think it matches the concept of healing along fracture lines. Not necessarily because this is a real border. Like in Houston, we are quite a few miles away from the border, but the lines are created in the classroom. The fracture lines are created in the classroom when you have people from different cultures, different backgrounds. You have some refugees that come to the classroom with trauma, and we deal with their stories. And I think that the storytelling is an opportunity to build commonality across those. That's why I said the boundaries sometimes are not physical, but more cultural and attitudinal, that they create with each other for cultural reasons, historical reasons, and so forth. Teachers that I worked with think that the storytelling that I get them to engaged in is part of a healing process.
And I was listening, I'm sorry, I had to step away for a moment, but the work as I have structured it related to healing is with the return process and how strength from the experiences lived in the United States are strengthening the return home and in a time of potentially traumatic transitions.
Do those participants express that sense, or are you perceiving it?
That is what we set out to explore, and yes, participants have expressed that sense to greater or lesser degrees, and some did not. Most did. Most have expressed that.
Have they, by the way, encountered resistance or antagonism on their return?
No, not in a direct sense. It has been more of emotional stress and a sense of not belonging, but not because of direct antagonism.
Because of newly learned values, maybe?
Yeah. I've been focusing on the teacher piece of that. All of the interviewees with whom I've worked have had classrooms, and they've talked about their ability to connect more directly with students while they're going through the language learning process in an English classroom. And so that's where I've seen the most positive sense of identity and strength as it is related to the transition.
Federico, when you started talking about your piece, your project, it reminded me of what Natalie and I did in it was 1985, when we created we had a series of workshops where we got people together from Bethlehem and Hebron and Gaza at the time, and various parts of the Israel locale. And we worked, I think we were at the Peace Center, which is now the Paris Peace Center. We worked for 3 days on sharing stories, folk stories, and other stories from our cultures, trying to compile a textbook type which could be used across the different ethnic groups.
That sounds fascinating, Valerie.
And
That sounds fascinating.
that was way back then.
Yeah.
That was one piece that has come to mind, and the other piece is that Natalie Hess has worked in this area of using narratives in her classrooms, where she has attempted, when she was at North Arizona, she's given a few TESOL sessions on getting the students to understand each other.
Is she still active in TESOL, or has she retired?
No, she's retired. She's
Yeah.
She's 81 years old.
Yeah.
She has just published her memoirs.
Oh, nice.
And her memoirs are about her childhood in the concentration camp.
Wow.
So
wow. Yeah.
I don't think she'd be prepared to come to Denver.
Right.
But I do think I can interview her, and we could ask her what her perception or understanding is of the title of The Healing and the Fracture Lines.
That would be cool.
And that actually gives me an idea.
Mm-hmm.
We have requested the leaders of the advocacy strands to represent their strand, but Valerie, it sounds like a lot of your research has been very closely related to the intersection of identity and teaching. And if you would be interested in representing that strand of the social responsibility intersection, that would technically leave Yesid to represent global issues.
Yeah, I talked to Yesid. Did he tell you? Did he say that he was definitely going to be at the conference?
I haven't gone back to that email thread in quite some time to see who had confirmed. But I created this list based on that thread as people confirmed or declined. And so as of the last communication I received, Yesid had expressed that had confirmed going to TESOL.
Okay, good. Okay. Because he wasn't sure when I spoke to him, and that was a while ago, he wasn't sure if he would be able to.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I didn't hear back from him when I scheduled this phone call. So after we finish up today, I'm recording this video. I'm going to send it to everyone, and hopefully this will be motivating to begin a more consistent conversation about the content of our presentation, because Valerie, as you mentioned, it's still 5 months away, but 5 months.
That is only 5 months away.
It's only,
Right.
only
Another piece, also in relation to Federico's project and the issue of healing, is the book that was written. It's called Resilience. It was published 3 years ago, I think, by, again, one of the founder members of the Social Responsibility. And because of my recent illness, I can't remember his name at the moment. But I think you've seen it. Federico, have you seen it?
No.
It's stories, many of them quite traumatic, stories that people have told him or written in their upper level writing classes about trauma and how they've survived.
Is it by Eric Eric Greiton?
No.
No.
Oh, this is terrible. Hold on a minute, please, and I'll see
It's
if I
fine.
can access it.
Because there is a book called Resilience by some Eric Greitens or Greitens.
This is it's a teaching, a textbook, as it were. As soon as his name comes up, I'll be able to tell you.
Sure.
Of course. Michael Medley.
Hmm.
Do you remember Michael Medley?
No, I do not.
Okay. I could actually, I think I might have a copy of it that I could send you. An online copy.
Resilience, bouncing back through English.
Oh, you found it?
Yep, online. By Michael Medley. Okay, that sounds interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Take a look at that.
It's, I'm reading Sky, so it says, Resilience is a textbook for adult learners of English who face challenges in life but are ready to bounce back through learning English.
Yeah, I'm looking at the.
You are? Okay.
Now, yeah, I pulled it up on Amazon.
Yeah.
I can't get back to the full frame. I can see Sky, but I can't see anything else.
Oh, I took
Give me
the.
some guidance.
Would you like me to share my screen again?
Yes, please.
Sure. I had turned it off, but I will reconnect.
Yeah, but
Here we go. All right. So here is the. I was just looking at. I pulled up the table of contents on Amazon. Here's the title, the cover page, and here are the table of contents.
Yeah, right. Okay. If you read his introduction, you'll see.
Yeah, yeah, Federico. That may inform. That may have some synergy with the healing along fracture lines that we've settled on for our title.
I have to say that there are a couple of elements here. Michael Medley is a lay preacher in the Mennonite group.
Tradition. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And obviously, clearly, there's a Jewish element with the Holocaust issues. Although specifically, Natalie Hess doesn't deal with it in that way. She does it more in an ethnic sense than in terms of religion. And I know that over recent years, this element of religious practice has become contentious in TESOL. Is there still a group of Christian educators who are active in TESOL? Does that group still exist?
Not to my knowledge, Valerie. It's not an interest section.
No.
Whether it's a professional learning community, I'm not aware if it is.
No, I don't think so. But actually, we could check.
Yeah.
Because TESOL. I can log in to TESOL and find the learning communities.
Actually, Sky and Federico,
Yes, ma'am.
when you conceived this panel, did you think about the process and the goal of the actual panel, which would be attended by people who are interested in these issues, and then that would be that, or would you think of it as a more ongoing event? And I have to say that I did propose as an Evo.
Yeah.
This as the kind of focus, but it wasn't accepted. So
Oh, it was not?
no.
That's too bad.
It makes my life easier, but but if we were still able to, or we wanted to elicit examples of this type of practice, if you like, call it a program, of where healing is concerned, we might be able to have more ongoing event which would involve more than the people who are able to get to Denver.
Right.
Sure.
Well, that would be actually very good if we could do that. I think it would be ideal. And that's one of the reasons why I liked your proposal of the EVO.
Yeah.
Because it's more than just one time, and it's more than just people attending. Now, the academic session, of course, is geared to people attending the conference, but there is nothing that precludes us from saying, if you're interested, there will be a group that continues the discussion online and away from the conference. Now, I don't know how we would open it. If that is the case, and that's the avenue, I don't know how we would be opening to other people who are not at the conference, but perhaps through affiliates or something, we could do that. By the way, there is a group in TESOL. It's called, let me see, it's called Faith in English Language Teaching. It's not Christian anymore.
Okay.
As the one used to be.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. And it says, statement of purpose is to explore, is a platform to explore the role of personal faith in English language teaching. And it quotes Kanagaraja, 2009, saying that the social and philosophical trends have led to a point when, the spiritual cannot be kept out of the mainstream. We live in a time when the personal finds a legitimate place in the academy, which I can't disagree with. It would be interesting to see what they are doing.
This is where the focus now on identity comes from. Yeah.
Well, and I tell you something else. I am organizing a separate panel because on Friday, and I think I told you about it, on Friday of the conference, this one for social responsibility is on Wednesday, but on Friday, I have been invited to be one of the invited speakers for TESOL.
Yeah.
And I submitted an idea for a panel and the topic is inclusion. Not just diversity, but specific. How do we include people? And a topic that National TESOL asked me specifically to address, interestingly enough, is religion. And they asked me if I was comfortable addressing religion, and I said, yes, I can do that. So I have invited the panelists to consider whether or not they feel that each of them can address the question of religion. If they can't, I will talk about how religion impacts the considerations of inclusion. So,
is that contrary to the American precepts of separating church from the secular?
Well, of course it is.
Yeah.
It is, but I would say that you can separate church from the secular and the state specifically, but that does not mean that, as this Kanagaraja states, that you leave the personal behind when you interact in the public arena.
Yeah.
So your faith impacts your interaction with the world. So, and that's where I think that the major mistake and the major issue that we have in the United States with this is the insistence by many that to force Christianity as the only religion. And that's where because I work through my church on interfaith, and that's what took us to Israel and to Palestine. Since we work on interfaith, I definitely have an issue, as Christian as I am, I have an issue with perceiving faith in the public arena as being just Christian. And I'm sure you understand that, Valerie. So it does impact. It does impact the work that social responsibility is doing, because there is a lot of healing to be done also along the fractured lines of different religions and how we interact with each other.
Essentially, the notion of understanding each other and appreciating each other.
That's right, and respecting each other.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry to tell you, I have to leave because I have to go and pick up my wife.
Okay.
It is 10 minutes till 5 here, and I know that.
Yeah, I'm going to another session now. Yeah. Okay.
So I will want to continue this conversation soon, but I have to let you go now.
Likewise, and I will send to the participants in our presentation with a request for a follow-up. Hopefully,
okay.
My goal was for us to meet once a month in an online setting such as this. It may be more convenient for us to communicate asynchronously, as finding a time for all of us to convene would seems difficult. But yes, I'm hoping we can meet again in December and January, and when February rolls around, maybe increase the frequency of communication so that
it would have to be so, yeah. It won't be I won't be able to do it at this time in the next few months.
Okay, yes.
Okay.
Valerie, I know you'll be in a different time zone, and
and Sabbath.
Okay.
And I don't
right.
So
that's right.
This was a good opportunity for me, so
okay.
But we can figure something out.
We think
sure. It doesn't have to be on a Friday, so
no.
Nope, it doesn't. This was just happened to be a time that seemed to work well.
Yeah.
So great. Well, thank you. I look forward to keeping the conversation going, and it's nice to brainstorm some ideas and start to get some clarity on content.
One
Yeah.
point, since
Uh-huh.
I'm at this particular conference, maybe 200, 300 people here, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Could you think of any angle I could promote, or any suggestions I could request here at TC?
Yeah, Valerie, you mentioned that in an email, and will you be presenting?
No, but I'm being presented. I'm being introduced.
Okay, all right. I don't know if that's the appropriate time to maybe tease Denver 2020. But I think maybe just thinking about TESOL, promoting TESOL, the TESOL conference,
Yeah.
and then just subtly
And the topic of the discussion.
encouraging people to, to consider social responsibility as an intersection to explore in the conference.
Okay, but Valerie, have a very good conference.
Thank you. Good talking to you. And I still want to hear about. I still want to hear more about your trip.
Yeah,
especially
I will
the
tell
piece
you.
I didn't hear about. Okay, we'll talk.
Yeah, take care.
Take care, Federico.
Bye.
Have a good weekend.
Bye-bye, Sky. Take care. You too.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
So I'll do that. I'll talk, make some suggestions so that people are aware.
That sounds good. I know that the Ohio TESOL conference was several weeks ago. I wasn't able to attend, but I have in the past, and there was usually some excitement about the national conference, the international conference at our regional conference, and I don't remember it being kind of front and center. Our regional conference focused more on the immediate needs of mostly K-12. We had a larger contingency of K-12 educators for ESL than ESOL than we did for higher ed. But yes, there was always some promotional material that was thinking to the big conference.
Yeah. We're looking here for this particular panel, looking more at professional development and teacher oriented, isn't it?
Yes, great. Well, Valerie, I am at our public library in Dayton, Ohio, and they close. I just got a message from the librarian peeking into, into the room in which I'm using, and so yes, I will also wish you a enjoyable and meaningful conference in Michigan, and look forward to our next conversation, knowing that it might not be at this time on this day.
Good.
Hopefully to accommodate as best as possible everyone's schedule.
Right, good. Okay. Good talking to you, and we'll be in touch.
Likewise. Bye. Take care, Valerie.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. Stop share, and there we go.